Okay, the meeting is now started. See if she's gonna bring the tape recorder over. We are requesting that they record all the meetings now, so.
Oh, okay, I could have gotten it from this stuff earlier.
Okay.
Oh, that's right, I read some. He did a good job the last time he explained it. I mean, Marshall, Prairie did a good job explaining everything the last time.
The procedure is gonna be when we get started. Mr. Martinez, is it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and of course, everybody knows, Phyllis,
Oh,
okay, we'll let you make a statement when we get started and tell us a little bit about what you're doing. Are you ready? Okay.
We're kind of intertwined, just what, are you ready?
Well, let's see if they're gonna bring the recording. This is unofficial recording.
Okay. Wow.
I mean, we don't mind them recording it because we don't have anything to hide. She just likes recording things.
make you look good.
Don't have anything else. You can't publish us in anything without our permission.
Right. Oh, you want to take it?
Let's give it a few
A lot of people that work at 5 o'clock, they're
minutes.
just getting off.
This is,
Oh, you got a copy, I can just, okay.
you know how to set that up? Okay, thank you, Ms. Carter. Okay, the meeting is called to order. This is a planning and zoning meeting to consider a request by Mr. Martinez to move a house into Prairie Hills subdivision. So we'll get started. I want to ask you a couple of questions and then we'll go around and ask you. So where has this house been moved from?
The house is, I'll answer. House is being moved from Chapel Hill.
Okay, which is over close to where?
Yes, the house currently sits on a property, a tract of land, and the tract of land has been sold.
Okay.
And they did not want this house on the property, and they asked that it be moved. It's not in any kind of substandard form. In fact, the person who has sold the property, the house itself, resided in it up until October. So it was a home that was definitely habitable.
Okay. And from your standpoint, what, the legal papers that you put in, that's where you sold the property to him?
Right. I received this property probably about 10 years ago. At the time this home became available, it was a very good price, but I had been paying college tuition, and I'm still paying college tuition. Mr. Martinez was gracious enough. He had the funds to purchase the house. In order for us to get this process started, he had to really appear as the owner. So I just went ahead and transferred the lot that I own to him so that it could all get moved. And that was more procedural, but it's been my lot for years and years. And so essentially, he is going to help me with the crews, and I'm going to be coordinating the general contracting, as they say, which is really kind of a pet project of mine that I like to do.
Okay. We'll go around and each person can ask at least 1 or 2 questions if you would like.
Well, I would like to ask you a question. Mr. Martinez, is it going to be on a concrete form, or is it going to remain on blocks?
It's a pier and beam is what they call it.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to remain on the blocks.
On the blocks.
Yes. that's the way the house is designed for.
Do you have a picture, Ms. Walker? Here's a good picture of it, actually. That's what it looks like.
Okay.
That's the side picture.
We have the same.
Well, I live in that area, and we have been working on trying to get, see that no homes be moved in relation to the subdivision in which we are in. And we had some old deeds, we had some deed restrictions, and the houses from back from the previous years, we stated that they had to be on a slab. And so this is a concern of the citizens in that particular area. And there is one house out there that was put in that's not on a slab, and we understand that, but we didn't want any more.
Was that house before, was that before the ordinance?
It was,
The ordinance, what's the date of that ordinance?
we worked on it,
Oh, 80, okay, okay, 1980.
well, after that, we worked,
7/30/80.
we worked on an audience in relation to not allowing homes.
Well, I mean, the one house that's there, I'm saying that was before the
I believe,
ordinance.
I believe so, I'm not sure.
That house is probably about 10 years old.
Okay, well, maybe it was. It was sneaked in,
Greenhouse.
just like another.
Exactly, the first house.
Yeah, the greenhouse,
Right.
okay. And, it was owned by a young couple. And we had said then that that house shouldn't have been there, but the city doesn't listen to us all the time. And it looks like, other when we don't have houses that are similar, it brings the neighborhood down. And yes, this house might look good to you, but it would go down faster than a brick veneered home.
Can I address that?
May I ask a question? Is this house,
Did you want to comment?
Yeah, I just wanted to address that.
Okay, good.
One of that is an absolute respectful concern. I mean, absolutely, because I live in Alta Vista subdivision, and there's a mix of different homes with regard to wood frame homes and with regard to the brick homes. I happen to live in a brick home, but I also own a wood frame home that's got some different outside veneer on it. And I think that this particular home would be an awesome addition to that neighborhood, in part because it's 1,800 square feet, partly because the ultimate plan is to have the value of that home be about $155,000. Absolutely. And one of the things, of course, we have a project, a development project coming in within a mile or so of this home. And
So what project is that?
the project, it's A Legacy, this big project.
Oh, you mean the industrial plant?
In the industrial plant, right. And while there is got to be some concern about that, I plan on taking the house over. It's just, again, for expediency purposes, because of the nature of this house, I plan on taking that house back.
you don't have one of
That's
those?
the ultimate plan, is to do that. And I am not sure, this isn't to do any kind of end around, this is procedural part here, but I'm thinking, Ms. Cyrus, that the deed restrictions of that area are not enforced, which is
Okay,
how.
but it's still unlawful in relation to Article 4.300.
Right,
It's unlawful to move any frame house into the city.
which is the point
This
of
is the
requesting.
city.
Right, which is the point of requesting a variance.
And
For that.
there's something else, this might not be in order. That lot has not been cut in a number of years. What's the problem there? Now, and you're just now interested in it.
That's, what do you mean, Ms. Cyrus?
Just what I said. The lot has not been kept up, but we keep our lots up, but when the grass gets about 2 feet high, the city informs us that the lots need to be cut. And on that lot, you owned it, and I guess you still own it. or whatever.
Well, I have transferred it for purposes of actually being able to possibly move it.
Well,
And what is interesting to me is, I had the same thought that you had, Ms. Sirens, that I owned a lot that needed to be cleared. And that's not the case. We have checked with a surveyor, we have checked with, someone who is gonna be doing another project there. We have also checked with the appraisal district rules, and interestingly enough, my lot, when you turn onto Ruby Street, this was a surprise to me. My lot is the very first cleared house to the left, cleared lot to the left. It's the very first cleared lot, which was a huge surprise to me.
But I mean, this, excuse me, can I say, this, it is, yeah, the article, it said, read that one right there, A.
It is unlawful to move any frame house into the city, and we are in the city.
Right, that's the whole purpose of the variance process, is to say, what are you adding to the city? There are approximately 35 lots alone on Ruby Street, 35 lots, vacant lots. Well, 35 vacant lots, or lots.
Lots.
Anyway, and if, there are 35 lots on that street. There are only 11 houses on Ruby Street. I went up and down that street today, 11 houses. And the other lots are all valued at $7,500, which is what is the value of this lot. And if you were to multiply, that's 24 times 7,500, the value of this house is gonna be worth at least 50% of the total value of the vacant lots that would remain there. And that's one of the reasons, I think, for the variance process. If someone is going to bring in a home that is 1,800 square feet, it's a home built in 1984, it's a Jim Walter home, it's a modular home, and add tax value immediately, that's an exciting prospect for my city, because I live here too, this is where my home is. And I look forward to putting a property on the tax roll that would be, income generating for the city, but also the design for the home is to have it be practical and beautiful on the outside and the inside.
So you're saying you're gonna move it and do some renovations? Are you gonna add on, or you just?
No.
You're not gonna
No,
add on?
the house is
'cause
1,800 square feet.
It's 18, so
It's
that's.
got a metal roof, which is a 30-year roof. The roof is 5 years old currently.
So you're gonna move it here and do renovations
Right.
On the interior.
on the interior? Well, what about the outside? So it'll pretty much stay, are you a paint and probably?
Whatever is necessary, with regard to that. There's a porch, it's 9 feet, it's a very, you saw the porch? It's a beautiful porch. And one of the options to consider for me is, should it be enclosed or not, which adds value to the home, to the property.
Can you tell us a little bit about the house, the way it's constructed? Is this a prefabricated factory type house?
No, it's a house. It's with Jim
It's
Walter.
built with studs and wood framing?
Wood frame, studs, it's got,
So is
like
that
you would build a house.
Is this some kind of plastic going around the siding? What is the
No.
siding made out of?
It's,
Is that metal? Does it look like
It's not metal.
it's hardy plank,
hardy
Hardy
plank?
hardy
that's
plank.
right.
It
Yes.
has hardy
And that's very durable. That in itself is pretty expensive.
Okay, what is the roof framing made out of?
The roof framing, I believe they said 2x6s. The roof is a 2x6 with the metal on top.
Okay,
Plywood.
but we don't see that on the drawing.
If I may.
There's no, we look at the thickness of this,
Uh-huh.
where the overhang.
See, there it is
It's
right
mostly
there.
metal overhang.
There's the roof right there.
What you're saying
There.
is if he
Oh,
moved,
the thickness of the
he
metal,
bought the house, he bought
it's galvanized.
It's got the thickness of a wood frame that's, or rafter that's sticking over.
Yes, I just didn't catch it underneath.
Well, we're talking about the dimensions, when you look at it here, it seems like it's not, it looks very prefabricated. On these corners, the way the material is bent around the corner, it's not like this one wood piece, you can't, there must be a material that you can bend around the corners rather than,
No, the porch is in the.
That's a bay window.
huh?
That's a bay window that they built.
Is there,
Yes, it's in the back, it's in the back.
Oh, okay, this is from.
I'm sorry, I'm not understanding.
Yeah.
It says he has this piece, something that can be folded.
Oh, no, that's the framing of the window right here. That's the window.
No, I'm talking about this corner right here. You see how this material is going that way, it's right there.
No, that's this right here. See, that's just the way that you print it. I was running out low on toner. But that's what this is. It's all one piece, and it actually looks like this. That's what it is. And you look at it right here, it overhangs about an inch or two off the edge of the roof, so the water can drip.
Okay,
Well,
do we have anybody else? Did anybody, do you have some questions?
Yeah, first thing is, have you checked to see how they would move that house?
Yes. Larry Yoakum is gonna move it as soon as, we're just waiting on an
He
approval.
gonna move it at midnight?
No. He knows how to move it, he's been doing it for a long time.
Yeah, I understand that, and on your sketch, you don't show the porch on the sketch. So evidently, he's not gonna move the porch at the same time they move the house.
No, and that was what we were trying to explain earlier, is the porch should be broken down, because that to me is more affordable and practical if it's broken down in the back, and not part of the moving process. It was cheaper, because one of the quotes was $6,000 alone for the porch. Whereas to hire people to break it down would be probably a third, that's where that takes some extra time, and that's why. Because there may be an option on that, I'm not sure if that is going to be.
Will this be moved in one piece, or they're gonna?
It's at least two
divide this
pieces.
up?
No, the Yoakum has said two pieces because of the shape.
That's my question.
That's your question, right?
That's
your
you know, I'm listening, that's my next question.
There you go.
He's the greatest guy in the world, if he can move that house down the highway
No.
in
it's-
one
it's-
piece.
no,
I wanna know
it's at
how he's
least two
gonna do
pieces.
it,
And
that's all.
And that's,
Have you checked with him to
Yes.
see?
Yes.
He's gonna saw that house in half
Right.
and bring it in two pieces. Now, I know that.
thank you, that's correct.
Okay, let's see if we have any, questions from anybody in the audience before.
I have a question.
Okay.
I came in late, I apologize, but, I came in because of the fact, I guess this is the house in reference to a house being placed on Ruby Street, is this
That's right,
correct?
that's right.
Okay, and it is the lot that's in between the
substation,
between the substation
yeah.
and my house. And what my concern with that is,
There's more than one lot in there, I suppose, right?
Yes.
yes, there is. And, my concern is whether or not anything is going to be done, because that is a floodplain area, and that area is very low. And so, I'm just wanting to know, is there something that's going to be done regarding that before, that house is placed there? I wanted to know what kind of house it is, whether or not it's a house that's on cinder blocks, or a house that is on a slab. My concern is that, because I live very close to 290, my concern is this a rental property? Is this a property that someone, where there's going to be a resident who lives there? Because, you know, being in that community and on that street for so long, you know, and with all this building that's going on, that means that there are going to be a lot of in and out. You know, what kind of property is it? Is it a rental property or a full family property or what? Those are my concerns. And then with that, you know, being so close to 290 also, and the traffic is picking up back and forth, some of these residents that are, these communities that are in Prairie right now, you know, some of these rental properties, you're starting to find a higher crime rate with people moving in and people moving out. So that is my concern. I suspect that I probably will be there at least 20 more years, I hope, God willing. And so I'm just concerned with exactly what it is that's going up there. And also, I was told about 3 years ago that someone was going to put a property in there that's going to raise the property value. So is this the type of house that's going to raise the property value out there? Because, you know, it is low out there. It is a floodplain.
And
And so-
that water was just out there last week.
And it is still
I
out
mean,
there.
it's still out there.
It's
And
still
now
out
that
there.
I'm listening to you talk, man, this ain't gonna be floating out there unless you're gonna go up 3 or 4 feet off the ground. You just asking for a lot of trouble out there. That is super low right there.
It's very low.
Yeah, it's on between your house and 290.
That is
And
correct.
I mean, that water is out there all the
That is
time.
correct,
Well,
and it's
that's,
still standing.
Okay.
A point of order, okay,
Well,
the,
with those
you wanna
questions,
address the?
Yeah.
Sure. I can start off. Yes, we do have, Mr. Gonzalez off of Highway 6. He's gonna be looking at the property. He's gonna level it out, tell us how much dirt we need to put in there to bring it up, some fill dirt. And then on top of that, where the house is gonna be set, he's gonna put a stable, stabilizing, like a base, so that the house won't move or shift. He's gonna put a stable base on there.
Oh, you say base, are you talking about concrete, or you talking about some kind of, fill material?
Some fill material.
And then
It's,
more water's gonna back up on us when you put that elevation in there. And it's already backing up on us. And when you put that elevation in there for that house, the water's gonna back up on us
He's
more.
not talking about filling up the drainage ditch.
That's right.
He's
No,
talking about
no.
just raising his property.
Well,
No, it's
even,
just the
you got that
property.
house there, it's, with the water flowing down, so that's,
The lot at the north side of it is gonna be on the other side of his field, I know what you're saying. Okay, the property is sloping, I think, from north to south
Yeah.
towards the road, is that correct?
Is it sloping toward 290? Is that what you're asking? Supposedly so, but it stops there and it gets backed up and that water comes back. I mean, you can go out there right now, it's filled. It's completely filled. That water is just standing there.
I know, we have.
In that field and in the lot that's next door to mine.
without a doubt, there's dirt work that is absolutely proposed to build it up to the sufficient level so that it is sturdy enough, for sure. And you had a good question. This is not intended to be a rental property. It is intended to be a single-family home on a street where there are single-family homes. This is not intended to be rented. And, I mean, I think that's very important. That's very important.
Also, I'm looking at the photographs here, and this particular house, it's not on a slab, it's on blocks. And there are no houses on blocks on Ruby Street.
except for the Jolly Vets,
And the Jolivets, their house that they did put up there, because it was a concern when that house came there, it started out like it was on these blocks, and they filled those blocks in, so you cannot see straight under that house.
And that's the goal. That's to be done filled, but also to be done with landscaping. All of that improves the property value. It's gotta be curbside, but also the practical side to respect, that part of the neighborhood.
And this is not brick veneer either, this is,
It's hard to play.
hardy plank
Right.
with a tin roof. I don't see how that's raising the property value.
I have a tin roof and I live in Alta Vista and it raises
I
property.
don't, we're in Alta Vista,
I
I've never seen a house in Alta Vista that has a tin roof.
my
Somebody else have a
concern,
question?
Well, I have a
Just let
statement.
her make a statement and then we come back.
I have a statement.
If you don't-
Ruby Street is such as flood, it's awful, such as a flood area. And I know where you live, and your house is flooded out, and then farther down where Mr. Bonner used to
Yes.
live, that place flooded all the time. And I could see exactly why Jolivet put his house up on blocks, to avoid that part of it. Unfortunately, when you guys built your house, you probably didn't know that it had flooded that bad in that area. So yes, you did put it on a slab, but in order to avoid the flood, you have to build it up. But if you put dirt in there, what you're gonna do is that you're gonna flood her out
that's
just
right.
worse
That's what I
than
was
what she was already being flooded, because there's not a good drainage area that comes through there. Now, if your people are gonna come in and try to help dig a little trench to try to take some of that water out, then possibly it would be a big help to your neighbor as well as to the community. But again, like Hardy Plank, I know from my experience on doing contracting and building our own home, Hardy Plank is just as expensive as you're putting brick on your house, because that's the price of it now, and it does last. It's very, very durable. The tin roof, not sure about that. Hadn't really did a lot of pricing on that, but I do know now that is the big thing now that people are going with. They're going with the tin roofs, and such as the value of your property. If she's going with Hardy Plank and not with just straight siding and wood, and she's going Hardy Plank, the value of that house will go up. I've seen it happen.
The value of the house or the value of the property?
No, the value of the property value might not go up, but the house value along with the property, because it's gonna be all in one. Once you put that structure there, then it's all in one. So when you add those two together, it is a possibility that house is gonna be valued over $100,000.
Okay.
But again, it's still in the flood zone,
Your
so you
time.
gotta take that into consideration.
Thank
Sorry
you.
about that.
Okay, so let me comment on one thing that you said, and then I'm gonna recognize you. The houses that was built before the freeway was put in, the new 290 freeway, that was a different flooding situation.
Sure it was.
When they put that new lake down,
Yeah.
they call Walker's Lake, there are pipes coming under the freeway where that will overflow and
Yes.
it goes into that drainage ditch.
I believe it.
That was
And then with all the
farmland.
construction further down,
Mhm.
the water's not going out as fast because they built so many
We
subdivisions.
never heard of that flooding.
So the issues is not so much about, us telling you how to build a house and what you have to do. I mean, it's nice for you to understand the issues, but that's not affecting what we're doing. Okay, so let me recognize you and then we're gonna see if we can work.
My aunt,
You next, Ms. Sachs.
I have an aunt that lives on that street, Mary Moore. So my concern is, I'm glad you guys are going through the exterior of the home and all those things the house was built, but I'm still trying to clear what I heard Ms. Cyrus said. Is there something in the city that says that you're not supposed to bring a frame house in the city? Is that valid?
It says, Article 4.1, Article 4.300, frame housing and mobile home regulations. A, it is unlawful to move any frame house into the CITY city.
In the frame house, all mobile homes into the city, it's both.
It says mobile home?
It says mobile home.
Mobile home, frame housing and mobile home regulations.
Right, and I come back to the fact that on that particular street, there are at least 35 lots, there are 11 homes, and this is a home that is proposing to be brought, we're proposing to bring it in, to add value to the city, to add taxable value, to definitely take into concern everything, to take into consideration all the concerns about how it is set, how it is placed, how the land is properly built up, so that there isn't a problem with that. But the reality is that house has got to take those into consideration.
It's
Not-
not to be moved from Chapel Hill.
Right. But, and I think that's important. I just did some quick calculations, just like I mentioned a minute ago. We've got 24 vacant lots, many of which are grown over, not developed. When you value those at what the appraisal district values them at $7,500 per lot, that's $180,000. With one home, with one project, one new single-family home development of an 1,800 square foot house, that would be worth, let's say, $120,000. That's 2/3 of the value of the vacant lots. And that's one thing that I would kindly ask everybody to consider. What are we doing in our city to help develop the city, to help bring people in and provide them suitable, respectful, practical housing? That's what this presentation is about, everybody. That's really what it's about.
Okay, are we ready to vote on this? If so, then I'll ask for
Yes,
a
one
motion.
more
Okay,
question.
go ahead, Mr. Chairman.
Is our committee empowered to change our ordinance?
No,
No.
our committee
Okay,
is
that's
making a recommendation
Yeah.
to council only. And they make the final decision. What they do is law. What we do is, we're a citizens committee to make a recommendation from our point of view.
I guess I have a question too.
Okay.
Has this ordinance ever been analyzed to see what has been brought in since the eighties? And the practical effect of that? I mean, I don't think there's ever been any
I
kind of
think that
study.
young lady said they stopped her,
Yeah,
They've stopped a lot of it.
Yeah, in fact, I was purchasing a lot over on Opal Street.
That's the
And
focus.
I had even went to the mayor and presented him after I had spoke to one of the council members. And, he told me that I could not bring anything in to the city of Prairie View. It had to be already within the city limits, that I could move it over on that lot. I couldn't bring anything in from Waller or Hempstead or any of the outside cities.
Let me see if I can help you a little bit. And so we can stay focused on the point. I know you're trying to make a point, and I know that you don't mind.
Go ahead.
I'll just answer that
Interject
question in
that. Yes,
general
sir.
so everybody knows.
Yes, sir.
Okay. But you know, the zoning committee and the experts that came down and helped us organize the zoning, I think you may have been on council.
Maybe.
What we tried to do is come up with some ideas that would help plan what we're gonna do in the future to try to improve the city and try to protect the homeowners that had already invested a lot of money in the city. And that, you can't just come and build anything without having some criteria that you would have to meet. So of all the things that we do, I consider the established neighborhoods as being the most important place in the city that we need to, if we can't help try to improve, maintain the standards and integrity of where people live every day, then we don't need to be up here. But what I would suggest and what I'm hearing is that, and of course the decision is not gonna be ours, we'll give them a recommendation. But if we go by this ordinance, then it's gonna be difficult to say that we can do that. I can't speak for anybody else, they'll have to hold their own conscience.
Well, I would say that
If you're
part B-
saying, and, that you wanna come back with something that shows what improvements you are planning to make, that may be easier to sell this to.
Well, I can just tell you now, that first of all, there's a huge deadline going on, is what's going, the house was purchased in February. There is a deadline to move it because the other tract of property has been sold already, and that person wants to build. And, the house was to be moved by March 31st. We've had lots of rain, so you can't really move anything right now. That's a practical thing. But without a doubt, you know, I have a house in Alta Vista. I put in a circle driveway. That's an improvement. That's something that I envision for this particular home, is having things that are practical, that are simple, and you can't put landscaping necessarily in front of you, but landscaping and curb appeal is critical, because people in Prairie View, the majority of people, I believe, take pride in their yard and what their curb appeal is. I think that's critical. And let me just finish. Part B, no one has talked about Part B. You know, moving the house is absolutely one request, you know, to go through. But nobody has addressed, what about the possibility of putting a home in Prairie View that is rendered to the city for tax purposes, which is Part B, which is what which is what we would like to do. We absolutely have to do it, but that's a practical consideration that I would kindly ask this planning and zoning group to look at. What are we doing? What's happening in the city to bring in taxable property? And you can see from the exterior, I mean, that is that's a decent looking home with regard to what it looks like. But what about the second part of that ordinance?
So who will live in this home? Are you gonna live in the home? Are you a contractor? Are you just moving the house? Are you gonna rent the house?
No, we've already said that's to be sold as a single family home. I've got a daughter in college at Columbia, I got a daughter getting ready to go to college in a few years. That's what I'm looking for, is to coordinate with somebody, develop it into a beautiful property that's at least 6 figures, over $100,000, and sell it to a family. I don't intend to rent it. I don't do that with my properties. I own 2 other properties in Prairie View, and families live in those properties, and they've been family occupied. So that's my philosophy, is families need to live in single-family homes.
Okay, do we have any other questions?
Well, I don't understand, the explanation here for to rent includes lease to sublease or let otherwise the rent.
That's not relevant to what we're talking about.
But I'm saying if it's going to be rented,
Okay, this is, somebody took this out of the book, I think, she has a copy of the book. The only part of this that we're dealing with, this part. And of course, once the house is moved, then what they do with it is kind of irrelevant to our consideration. You can't dictate what you do with the house afterwards.
So you could really do nothing, right?
What's that again?
So you really could move a house in and do nothing, right? Because once it's there, it's there.
You build a house, it's your house.
Yeah.
Okay, now, if there's some restrictions against renting like they have in some subdivisions, I suppose, I don't know. But that's not an issue with this particular zoning ordinance that we asked, the variance that we asked to look at. The only thing that this committee is doing is saying, okay, whether or not this is compatible, moving this house in is compatible with the existing land use and also the standards and quality of other houses in that neighborhood, and whether or not we are violating any rules in doing this, which is, in this case, the city ordinance, 4.300. Okay. So, now with that in mind,
Mr. Brown?
there's-
Mr. Brown, may I say something?
Okay,
As soon as
okay,
you're
let me
done.
finish, let me
Okay.
finish. Okay. So, there's 2 parts of this discussion. When this comes up before council, you get another chance to make a picture. Okay, go ahead, say what you're gonna say.
My only comment was, you hit the nail on the head when you said, what is the existing land use? For Ruby Street, there are at least 35 lots, there are 11 homes, the rest of the lots are vacant, many are grown over. What is the existing land use? We hope that you can accept that this proposal is to promote a higher land use for the current vacant lot that is there on that street.
Some of the lots are owned, there's multiple lots that are owned by the same resident. That's why they are vacant. We didn't want anybody that close to us. And at the same with Ms. Dillon. She has several lots there, 3 lots that she is, Madeline Reed has more than 1 lot. Ms. House has more than 3 lots. Yes, they are vacant, but they are vacant because we don't want anyone close to us.
And that goes to the second part of the ordinance, Ms. Cyrus.
And that
taxable
goes-
property. And
We
that's,
pay taxes on the property.
Absolutely.
It might not be as much as you would like to see, but we pay taxes as citizens. Whether it's a
Absolutely.
penny or whether it's more, we pay taxes because we are citizens
Right.
and we own the land.
I'm not
And-
about raising them either. I'm about putting a structure there that will help ease some of the tax burden. That's really kind of what the relationship is there, to help ease some of the tax burden also for the city.
You're referring to the city, tax bracket. We are looking at the frame home, and that's, we're trying to follow rules in relation to the, planning and zone committee, and trying to make a decision on what we're going to, what we need to do as the planning and zoning committee. And we are looking at it being unlawful to move a frame house into the city.
Okay, we're gonna take one last statement and then we're gonna
Okay.
ask for a motion.
And I think Ms. Cyrus just clarified what it is that I was hearing, is that the homes that are on Ruby Street have not been moved in. All of the homes that are there on Ruby Street are homes that have been built foundation up. There are no moved-in homes, period, on Ruby Street. And as a resident of this community, I prefer it, that there is nothing that comes moved in, that it be built from the ground up on that street. We have people who are working on beautification of the city. And the other thing is that there's a drainage problem out there, and all of those things are of a concern. Okay, that would be the only house that has been brought in to Ruby Street, and you know, we just prefer not to have any houses that are moved in that have not been built up on a foundation there. And plus, it's in a floodplain that would create even more of a water situation that we are currently dealing with.
Okay,
That's
thank you.
my concern.
Thank you. Okay, can I get a motion that we vote on this issue?
Mr. Brown, I move that we go ahead and get a motion in relation to this,
Are you making a motion?
okay. I move that, we, make a motion in relation to finalizing this particular, article in relation to this house being brought in.
Okay,
I didn't state it right?
No, yeah.
so make a motion.
You go ahead and,
Before the,
Based on the discussion that we've heard, I'm saying that as far as this committee is concerned, that we do not approve a motion to change the variance so that this piece of property, change the ordinance so that this building can be brought in. And based on the changing of the ordinance, that we do not approve this.
Okay, you heard the motion, are you ready for the question? Okay, when you vote, you can vote aye if you approve the house to be moved in, no, or say that you disapprove it. Okay, is that clear with everyone? Okay, so let's vote individually if you don't mind, each person can state what they're voting.
I'm sorry, vote no in relation to this matter.
Okay, one no,
I don't know.
or two no's.
And, well, I would vote no because of the people that live in the community. And they are stating that, they don't want a frame home that's not built on a concrete foundation.
Okay, thank you.
And I agree with, Ms. Walker, I vote no until the floodplain, until we can do something about the flooding and other concerns they have. Cause they've been in that neighborhood for, a very long time, and, we just wanna do, make a good decision where everybody can be happy with it. But I think until the flooding, something's done about the flooding and other concerns that these citizens have, that, we vote no at this time until, they can do something about those issues and
Okay,
problems
so
that
we
they
have
have.
a unanimous vote, no. And so the, motion is carried not to approve this. We'd like to thank the citizens for serving on the committee, and thanks for coming and presenting your proposal. My recommendation would be, if you want to, try to do a presentation of what improvements that you're planning to make, for the presentation, you may be able to sell this. But right now is, the recommendation to the council would be to disapprove. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you.
Okay. We have nothing else on the agenda, so this meeting is adjourned. Thank you. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
We have to sign.
So what do y'all decide?